Lu Mengnian is the adoptive husband of Chongshi Tong, bought for me by my father. He was born good-looking, and I loved to pester him since I was a child. He even relied on his identity to do whatever he wanted. Until one day I suddenly saw dense words floating in the air. Can this vicious female supporting role be a little more face? Don't pester the male protagonist. Can't she see that the male protagonist will be disgusted to the point of cold face every time he sees her? She still humiliated the male and female protagonists like that. No wonder when the male protagonist returns to Beijing to restore his status as a prince, he can't wait to break up with the Xie family. I'm stupid and can't understand. I wanted to ask Lu Mengnian, but accidentally bumped into him talking to his subordinates. Your Highness, can you tell the identity of the Xie family before returning to Beijing? No need to say more. Lu Mengnian closed his eyes and looked indifferent. Give me 10,000 taels of gold, and I have nothing to do with the Xie family. So I realized it later. It turns out that Lu Mengnian is the male protagonist. And I am the vicious female supporting character who was resented by the male protagonist and destroyed all over the house. 1. I still hold Lu Mengnian's jade pendant in my hand. That's what he's been wearing since he was a child, and he treasures it very much on weekdays. Today, I don't know why it fell into the flower mud. I was also stepped on a few times. I feel distressed to see it. After carefully wiping it clean, he found it and returned it to Lu Mengnian. By the way, I invite another credit. But I didn't want to come over and heard this conversation. Who? Before I could react, the man in black in front of Lu Mengnian suddenly shouted vigilantly. The long sword in his hand was unsheathed. I froze. I thought the eavesdropping had been discovered. I hesitated and just wanted to go out, but someone was one step faster than me. I didn't mean to. Sang Yao Yao limped out from behind the stone mountain. Disgraced. The delicate face is full of guilt. I just want to come and thank young Master Lu. Also, young Master Lu, don't worry, I will definitely help you get the jade pendant back. She swore to Lu Mengnian again, her eyes flashing. And as soon as Sang Yao Yao appeared, those words changed faster. Ah! One is a cousin under the fence, the other is a child adopter who is forced to be happy, and the Xie family who whispers about the male and female protagonists is really damned. It's just a jade pendant. Female protagonist, smile, male protagonist can give you his life. These words that appeared out of thin air did not seem to discover my existence. Soon, I learned the truth about the loss of the jade pendant. It turned out that Sang Yao Yao was injured by a raccoon slave in the courtyard. Lu Mengnian protected Sang Yao Yao. In a panic, he accidentally lost the jade pendant. I felt stuffy when I saw it. I couldn't help but refute those words. Although I don't like Sang Yao Yao, I have never humiliated her. And I have known Lu Mengnian for many years. See with your own eyes how important the jade pendant is to him. He has been wearing it since he was a child. Lu Mengnian also cherished his life, because he had said that he still had something very important to do. How could he easily give his life to others? None of this is right. No problem. A cold voice interrupted my thoughts. I looked up blankly. From this direction, Lu Mengnian could be seen looking at Sang Yao Yao with his eyes down. He seemed to sigh lightly. Did you take care of the wound first? No. Sang Yao Yao blushed. But soon his face became tangled. Gritted his teeth and said, I didn't mean to eavesdrop on your conversation. But young Master Lu, can you please bring me with you when you return to Beijing? I can pay you. Sang Yao Yao wants to return to Beijing with Lu Mengnian. I was stunned. For some reason, I suddenly panicked. I subconsciously looked at Lu Mengnian's reaction. He kept comforting himself and said that Lu Mengnian would definitely not agree. He didn't even want to return to Beijing with me, who grew up with me. How could he agree to bring Sang Yao Yao, an outsider who had just arrived in the Xia mansion, back to Beijing. Until I saw the man in black wanting to do something to Sang Yao Yao, but was stopped by Lu Mengnian. He paused, as if chuckling. The voice was a little cold. Okay. I couldn't see the expression on this man's face clearly. But he could hear that he agreed to Sang Yao Yao's request. So the loss and sadness were accompanied by a strong sourness, crushing the heart little by little. I subconsciously ran away in embarrassment. I thought in a daze. It turns out that those words are true. 2. Lu Mengnian is my Chongxi child adoptive husband. When I was young, I was weak and sickly. In the end, my father listened to the words of a wandering alchemist and bought Lu Mengnian from Renyazi. Actually, there are better. Every time my father talked about this, his tone was sour, but you took a fancy to this kid who was beaten and was only breathing, and he refused to let go of the people he had to hug them, and even rushed over and gave them a whip. Your father and I didn't see you howling so hard when I was injured. That's naturally because a Lubi's father is good-looking. I am justified and strong. I was so angry that my father blew his beard and glared at me. But I like Lu Mengnian, and almost everyone knows about it. Su is really effective. Since Lu Mengnian came to the Xia family, my health has been getting better and better day by day. It is also because of this that my father temporarily stopped the idea of finding another husband for me. I thought it wouldn't be long before we got married. Until I saw those words. Until now, when I heard that Lu Mengnian was going back to Beijing, I refused to tell my father and me. But he was willing to leave with Sang Yao Yao. I don't know how I got back to my house. He was still holding the jade pendant tightly in his hand. Those words that appeared out of thin air still did not disappear. Most of them praise how Sang Yao Yao and Lu Mengnian are compatible. And how brazenly I insist on breaking up the male and female protagonists. I look aggrieved. But the more I looked at it, the more I felt chills all over my body. Because they said that Lu Mengnian actually hated me very much, and hated everything about the Xia family. So after he returned to Beijing to restore his identity, he cut off all ties with the Xia family. He even stood by when the Xia family suffered the extinction of the family. Let me be humiliated to death. This is the retribution of the vicious female partner. But this is clearly not the case. Lu Mengnian never said he didn't like me. He obviously. Aang said you are in a bad mood today. A hand with clear bones suddenly appeared in sight. Lu Mengnian's cold voice came from above his head. But do you want me to go out with you? I sat on the couch before and thought of God. I didn't even find out when Lu Mengnian came in. I was shocked and subconsciously looked up. Crashed straight into the deep dark eyes. Seeing me stunned, he didn't speak. Lu Mengnian frowned imperceptibly. What's wrong? He was born really good looking. But even if he said such a caring word, Lu Mengnian's deep eyebrows and eyes were still calm. The words floating in the air changed again. I'm really convinced. Why is this female partner so much? The male and female protagonists were originally discussing returning to Beijing, but because she was in a bad mood, the male protagonist was forced to coax her, which was really annoying. So in fact, Lu Mengnian is angry that I disturbed them. I looked away, my heart was very sour. It's nothing. I shook my head and forced a smile. If you have something to do, you don't have to come over to accompany me. Didn't pay attention before. Now that I was reminded, I was shocked to realize that Lu Mengnian was indeed always very cold when he saw me. Even closeness maintains a sense of alienation. I thought he was so natural and adhered to etiquette. But it was clear that he had just smiled at Sang Yao Yao not long ago. Still so gentle. I thought, suppressing the uncomfortable energy. I didn't even have the intention to pay attention to this. As soon as these words came out, the crease between Lu Mengnian's eyebrows was a little deeper. He pursed his lips. Just as he was about to speak, his eyes suddenly stopped somewhere on the bed. I followed it. Suddenly he hurriedly grabbed something and hid it behind him, and his face was hot. That's half of the sachet I embroidered. It was originally planned to be given to Lu Mengnian. But my hands are clumsy, and the embroidered mandarin ducks have become pheasants. I really can't do it. I remembered the embroidered picture of 100 birds and a phoenix that Sang Yao Yao had taken out before. That day, I clearly saw Lu Mengnian's eyes, and a hint of amazement flashed. That's why I was unconvinced, and wanted to embroider a sachet for him. But now I can't send it out. I hid the loss in my eyes and hid things behind me. Pretending to be calm, he said. It's not a delicate thing, it's just embroidered for fun. Fortunately, Lu Mengnian only glanced faintly and withdrew his gaze. After humming softly, he seemed to be indifferent and said, I will be free the day after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow. I was stunned. Only then did I remember that the day after tomorrow was the Shangyuan festival. Some time ago, I always pestered Lu Mengnian to let him free up this day to accompany me. I originally planned to send my lanterns and sachets on that day, and after officially expressing my feelings with Lu Mengnian, we could discuss the wedding date. At that time, I only felt that Lu Mengnian was my child husband. He thought he was going to marry me. I never thought about whether Lu Mengnian liked me. But now everything is different. I took a deep breath. The day after tomorrow. The crisp sound of something falling to the ground interrupted my words. Lu Mengnian lowered his eyes and spoke suddenly. How could my jade pendant be with you? There was no emotion in the voice. 3. In the past, Lu Mengnian was extremely concerned about this jade pendant. When I was young, I was always angry with dead things, and I felt that Lu Mengnian cared more about this jade pendant. So I secretly hid the jade pendant. I originally planned to scare Lu Mengnian, but I didn't expect him to be so angry that day. With a cold face, he asked me where the jade pendant was. I was terrified. I happened to be bumped into this scene by my father again. As long as my father encounters me, he will be extremely unreasonable. So it's obviously my fault. But he severely punished Lu Mengnian. But even so, Lu Mengnian stubbornly refused to bow to me first. When he was beaten to the point of fainting, he still held onto the jade pendant in his hand. Since then, I have not dared to touch this jade pendant easily. Now that I heard Lu Mengnian's words, I subconsciously picked it up and handed it to him. He also explained, I was looking for it in the courtyard before, and I wanted to return. What he wanted to say suddenly paused. I was surprised to find that when Lu Mengnian took the jade pendant, the words that were still changing before disappeared in an instant. Could it be that I can only see it when I hold the jade pendant? In order to verify this conjecture, the hand weight that had been withdrawn reached over again. But I didn't want to catch Lu Mengnian's fingertips just right. His body stiffened instantly. The shadow in the eyes gradually increased. I don't care about Lu Mengnian's reaction. I was only relieved when I saw those words appear again. Sure enough, only by holding the jade pendant can you see these inexplicable words. But this is Lu Mengnian's jade pendant. I was a little worried. I originally wanted to rely on these words to know why my Xia family was exterminated, and see if I could find a way to avoid disaster. Although I like Lu Mengnian in my heart. But in the end, my father and the Xia family are more important to me. So I gritted my teeth and said hesitantly, Lu, can I ask you for this jade pendant? I was afraid that Lu Mengnian would refuse without even thinking about it. Before he could speak, I hurriedly said, a few days. Just borrow a few days. Lu Mengnian remained silent. Only the light of his eyes fell on my hand still holding his finger. Light and fluttering. I felt like I let go of my hand. But as soon as his hand was retracted, he held his wrist backhand through the clothing. Do you want my jade pendant? Lu Mengnian lowered his eyes to look at me, his pupils were clear. The wrist seems to be lightly clasped. But there is a faint meaning that it cannot be broken free. I didn't notice it, I just bit the bullet and hummed. Lu Mengnian fell silent again. Just when I thought he didn't want to. Something was suddenly stuffed into his hand. When his fingertips touched, he paused. Then he withdrew his hand calmly. Deep voice. Then you take it. I was surprised. Not an illusion. I always feel that Lu Mengnian seems to mean something when he says this. Just as he was about to speak, he caught a glimpse of the words in mid-air and changed again. Wait. How did the male protagonist give such an important identity jade pendant to the vicious female partner? Identity jade pendant. When I learned the truth, I suddenly felt that the things in my hand had become extremely hot. It's a little embarrassing. This is the prince's token. Until a few more lines popped out. Anyway, the male protagonist is going back to Beijing, and this jade pendant is useless. What's more, he has given the token of love to the heroine. Since the female partner wants the jade pendant, she can take it, and she will not have to make excuses to continue to pester the male protagonist. It was useless. No wonder Lu Mengnian is so willing. I understood and unconsciously tightened my fingers. After pressing down on the sourness, I smiled at Lu Mengnian. Thank you, Lu. The day after tomorrow is the Lantern Festival, and there will be a Lantern Festival in the evening. Do you want to see it? Lu Mengnian looked at me badly. After a long time, he hummed softly. 4. Those words said that Sang Yaoyao would fall into the water during the Shangyuan festival. And Lu Mengnian couldn't get out because he was pestered by me, and he couldn't save Sang Yaoyao in time. As a result, she hurt her body and fell into the root of the disease. This is also one of the reasons why Lu Mengnian later resented me very much. In that case, let the two of them go to the lantern viewing party. Maybe Lu Mengnian was happy, and after returning to Beijing, he would occasionally remember the good of the Xia family, and he would not stand by like he did later. I tugged at the corners of my mouth and thought. But I know that this matter is extremely difficult. To be honest, I originally blamed Lu Mengnian. Blame him for being indifferent and unkind. The Xia family saved him, but he took revenge instead. Until I learned that every time I was sick when I was a child, my father would severely punish Lu Mengnian. Because he felt that Lu Mengnian did not take good care of me. So in the cold winter of the 12th lunar month, the young Lu Mengnian was punished to kneel in the snow in a single garment. I won't be able to enter the house until my fever subsides. I suffered and he had to endure it too. Lu Mengnian was originally bought as a child husband. His status in the mansion is only slightly better than that of ordinary servants. And he could have returned to the capital earlier. But they were all stopped by my father. Because my father was worried that Lu Mengnian would leave, I would return to my previous frail and sickly appearance. But I never knew this. They all hide it from me. No wonder Lu Mengnian doesn't like me. No wonder Sang Yaoyao scolded me with red eyes as a scourge and harmed Lu Mengnian. No wonder Lu Mengnian likes Sang Yaoyao. The forced smile couldn't be maintained at all. I don't want to know how talented and beautiful the two people who went out to enjoy the Lantern Festival are. He simply threw the jade pendant aside and lay down on the table. He stared blankly at the sachet in his hand that had not yet been sent out. My nose suddenly became very sore. I miss my father. Dad did those things to Lu Mengnian, in the final analysis, for me. But it was also because I ended up like that. When Dad comes back from going out, I will definitely. Are you crying? The sachet in his hand was suddenly snatched away. The visitor looked at it carefully and suddenly laughed. I understand you cried because of this sachet ugly, right? Xiao Hui Feng. The previous sadness disappeared instantly. I looked at the uninvited guests who climbed over the wall. Angry to grit his teeth. 5. Xiao Huifeng has lived next door to me since he was a child. We have a good relationship. Earlier, I was in better health, and only Xiao Huifeng was willing to take me up the tree, and play in the river. But for some reason, he and Lu Mengnian have not dealt with each other. Xiao Huifeng always said that Lu Mengnian was targeting him. But too, I was partial to Lu Mengnian at that time, and I felt that it must be Xiao Huifeng's fault. You stinky girl who forgets her friends. Every time at this time, Xiao Huifeng would poke my head and scolded me hatefully. Why did you die like he died? If Lu Mengnian doesn't want you in the future, I'll see how you cry. Ah, Lu won't want me, I retorted angrily. But I don't want it to be a prophecy now. When did you come back? I snatched the sachet and asked again. Xiao Huifeng likes to travel around. I haven't seen him in a long time. Just a few days ago. He sat down and took the pastries on the table and nibbled on them. Then he suddenly smiled like a fox. Come back today, look who I saw on the street. I glanced at him and said nothing. Xiao Huifeng squinted suspiciously. Do you not care, or do you already know that Lu Mengnian and Sang Yaoyao are going together? Zijian. I interrupted Xiao Huifeng's words and said very seriously, Lu Mengnian doesn't like me, and he won't marry me. Why doesn't he? Don't ask. I picked up the pastry and blocked Xiao Huifeng, looking irritable. Xiao Huifeng really quieted down. But it didn't last long. So where did this sachet you cry come from? Did you make it yourself? After a moment of silence, Xiao Huifeng sighed heavily. Ayu, your brother Xiao didn't see the wrong person. You really can't do the thing of husband and son, so it's better to wander the world with me as a home. I squinted at him. Have you discussed this with my father? Xiao Huifeng was silent. Finally, he said back to the sachet very bluntly. Forget it, since someone mistakenly regards the pearl as a fish, then your brother Xiao will be this knowledgeable person. Don't worry, I will not live up to Sister Yu's wishes. Xiao Huifeng has never been out of tune, and he has no one to talk about. I really didn't have the heart to explain anything more to him. I don't know how to explain the words that appear out of thin air. He simply threw the sachet to him. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Lu Mengnian didn't care. But I can't be blind to my hard work during this time. But the words just fell. I faintly felt a heavy gaze locked on me. The gaze was aggressive and dangerous. Intuition makes people uncomfortable. I frowned and looked at it and was suddenly stunned. Ah, Lu Mengnian. Lu Mengnian stood at the gate of the courtyard at some point. His dark eyes stared straight at me. But soon, his eyes seemed to inadvertently sweep the sachet in Xiao Huifeng's hand. After a few seconds of pause, it fell on the jade pendant that was accidentally swept to the ground by Xiao Huifeng. The eyes accumulated, gradually intensifying emotions. It was like a mountain of rain about to fall. This scene is really indescribably weird. In the end, it was Xiao Huifeng who sneered lightly and interrupted such a dead silence. Are you back? The slender fingers deliberately hooked the sachet strap and shook it. Xiao Huifeng stood in front of me and hid the knife in his smile towards Lu Mengnian. It's really worthy of being a great talent in Lu, and he won the Lantern King for his sweetheart so quickly. So I noticed that Lu Mengnian was still holding a lantern in his hand. Young Master Lu. Sang Yaoyao behind her hurried over with her skirt in hand. Seeing my eyes fall on the lantern, her face changed and she vigilantly stood in front of the lantern. As if he was worried that I would open his mouth to snatch it. I was a little funny. But suddenly remembered an old thing. 6. The Lantern King of the Shangyuan Festival has to guess the riddle of a whole long street before it can be taken off. A few years ago, I was greedy. But I really don't have the ability to guess riddles, so I want to spend money to buy it. As a result, he was almost driven away by the angry merchants. Why can't you spend money to buy it? I muttered, very unconvinced. Isn't he putting it out just to attract customers? If I bought it earlier, he could go back earlier. Why is this person so inflexible? Speaking of the back, there was a faint bit of anger. Lu Mengnian, who was forcibly pulled out by me, listened quietly beside him. After a long time, he spoke abruptly. Do you think you can buy anything with money? The shadows of the leaves under the lantern trees are lush. I couldn't see the look on Lu Mengnian's face clearly. When he looked at him blankly, he heard Lu Mengnian let out a short chuckle. He said, I'll go and take off the lamp for you. But you weren't before. Isn't it a riddle that didn't guess? The words to be said are still stuck in my throat. My eyes suddenly widened, and I watched in a daze as Lu Meng solved one riddle after another in a young and easy way. Finally, he successfully took off the Lamp King. The handsome young man walked towards me unhurriedly with a lantern. He handed me the lantern in the envious eyes of everyone. When he lowered his eyes, his eyebrows were like mountain dais after the rain. It's windy, go back early. So I was instantly coaxed. I even forgot what I wanted to ask before. My mind was immersed in the joy of Lu Mengnian taking off the Lamp King for me. I thought it was a sign that he liked me. But now think about it carefully. Lu Mengnian should not be willing to pick the lanterns for me. So I deliberately hid my clumsiness before. Later, he was willing to solve the riddle. It's nothing more than because he is worried that I will be angry and angry with innocent people. As those inexplicable words say. In Lu Mengnian's heart. I have always been a domineering young lady who is willful and domineering with a little money, and I am not ashamed to pester him. He doesn't like me. But he endured everywhere because of the situation under the fence. Thinking of this, I pursed my lower lip. Just wanted to say that I wouldn't compete with Sang Yao Yao. Lu Mengnian carried the lantern and walked straight towards me. Just like that night a few years ago. But now he is blocking in front of me, leaving no gaps. The breath of oppression suddenly hit his face. But it dissipates extremely quickly when it opens. This year, it happens to be Master Chen's turn to be the Lantern King. Didn't you always want the lanterns he made before? Lu Mengnian paused and whispered, do you still like it now? The lanterns are excellent. I liked it at first sight. But the blue veins appeared on the back of the pale hand holding the lantern. It seems to be enduring something hard. It was clearly extremely reluctant. 80% of the time, he didn't want me to take the opportunity to embarrass Sang Yao Yao, so he gave it to me. I curled my lips thinking that I didn't want it anymore. Naturally, I like it. But scrupulously about Lu Mengnian's identity, I took it with a smirk. After watching it for a few moments, he walked towards Sang Yao Yao. What are you doing here? Do you want to show off? Sang Yao Yao's tone was stiff, with a faint hostility in her eyes. In fact, I have never understood where Sang Yao Yao's hostility towards me came from. My mother and Sang Yao Yao's mother are deeply sisters. Therefore, after learning that Sang Yao Yao was disheartened and suffered by her uncle and aunt, my father thought of a way to bring people back from Jiangnan. Dad was also planning to find a playmate for me. But Sang Yao Yao rarely gave me a good face behind people. Thinking that my aunt and uncle treated me well when they were alive, I didn't care about this. It's just that the number of times I post a cold face is too much, and I don't want to be happy. The people below are used to seeing the wind steering the rudder. Seeing that I didn't like Sang Yao Yao, those people naturally became harsh. Once I bumped into a group of people sneering at Sang Yao Yao. I used to reprimand my servants. But I didn't expect Sang Yao Yao to stare at me viciously, said fake kindness in a cold voice and left. It was as if I had instructed someone to bully her. I was half angry. But I saw that Sang Yao Yao was still wearing thin clothes in the cold winter and 12th month. I couldn't pull my face down and ordered someone to make new clothes for her, and finally angrily asked the maid to send me the clothes I didn't wear. But I didn't expect that this would become one of my crimes of humiliating Sang Yao Yao. But who makes her the heroine? I took a deep breath and handed the lantern to Sang Yao Yao. After a few reluctant glances, he said, although I like it, I also know that I can't take away the good of others. This lantern is yours, and I will give it back to you. I don't want Huadong and Lu Mengnian. I just want my dad to be well. I want the Xia family to be good. As for the side, I don't dare to think too much. I didn't look back. Naturally, I didn't notice that when the lantern was handed out by me, Lu Mengnian suddenly stiffened. The cold color on his face became thicker and stronger. Sang Yao Yao was also stunned. But soon vigilant. What are you thinking about? This person always thinks I want to harm her. So the last bit of reluctance also dissipated. I stuffed the lantern into her hand angrily, called Xiao Huaifeng, and planned to go out for a stroll. But was stopped by Lu Mengnian. Thank you. What are you doing? I turned my head and saw him bending over to pick up the jade pendant on the ground. The dusty jade pendant was wiped over and over again by this person quietly and carefully. Then he handed it to me. You don't want lanterns? In his dark eyes, he suppressed a certain emotion that stretched to the arrow string. Lu Meng asked me in a young voice. Don't you want a jade pendant too? Naturally, I still want the jade pendant. You can notice Sang Yao Yao's gaze. I immediately shook my head and hurriedly said, I didn't ask for your jade pendant. I borrowed it from you, and I will return it to you when I run out. When I find a way to avoid this disaster, I won't have any entanglements with this so-called male and female protagonists. The hand holding the jade pendant suddenly stiffened until the knuckles turned white. Lu Mengnian looked at me in a daze. His eyes were blank. There is also a faint grievance that is not easy to detect. 7. I didn't notice Lu Mengnian's strangeness. He no longer threw his mind on Lu Mengnian. At first, I was a little unaccustomed to it. Fortunately, Lu Mengnian didn't know what he was busy with. I can't see anyone all day. I slowly overcame this unaccustomed attitude. Xiao Huaifeng was happy to see it at first. Until he heard me say that he wanted to return Lu Mengnian's deed of sale to him. This person put away his smile and became a little serious. Do you really not like it? When did I lie to you? I rolled my eyes, not angry. It's hard to say. Xiao Huaifeng slowly counted my crimes. When you were a child, you deceived me a lot of money in order to buy books and pens and ink for Lu Mengnian, and in the end you lied that I was greedy and playful and spent all the money. Speaking of the latter expression of accusation. So I was instantly speechless. It is indeed up to me. Dad once found a female master for me to come to the house. I'm the only one who is stubborn and can't sit still. What the master said is mostly in the left ear and out of the right ear. On the contrary, Lu Mengnian, who was pestered by me and accompanied me several times, was able to answer fluently every time. At that time, the master looked at Lu Mengnian's eyes with relief and regret. I didn't notice. It's just that Lu Mengnian is not only good-looking but also very smart. Others will definitely envy me. Until I bumped into Lu Mengnian practicing calligraphy on a sand table in private. His eyes flashed with light that I had never seen before. But it went out instantly when he saw me coming. The sand table was kicked apart by the woman who was following me. She arrogantly reprimanded Lu Mengnian for being playful, causing me to look for him for a long time. Lu Mengnian said nothing. Only lowered his head and looked at the sand table that had been stepped on one after another expressionlessly. This is already the norm. Dad said that Lu Mengnian was the servant who bought it to accompany me. I didn't let the master find the truth of the servants. But in fact, Lu Mengnian fell ill that day, and I allowed him to rest. But I was happy to forget about it. He asked Lu Mengnian to come and accompany me. Stop. Seeing that the woman was about to raise her hand and hit her, I quickly stopped. Lu Mengnian's white and tender cheeks were still abnormally red. Those dark eyes only stared at me quietly. Even if he was to be punished, his face was still numb and calm. I was guilty and a little overwhelmed. Somehow I suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Whisper. Does Lu want to study? The black pupils gathered a little light and then quickly disappeared. Lu Mengnian did not answer, only said, "What do you want to play this time?" I don't like Lu Mengnian's lifeless appearance very much. So I said, Lu, you smile at me, and I will let you study, okay? It's true. I have never seen Lu Mengnian smile. But that time I saw him silent for a long time, trying to pull the corners of his mouth, stiffly imitating the smiles of the people around him. In fact, it doesn't look good at all. But I still pestered my father to ask him to send Lu Mengnian to the academy. Everything was fine. During that time, Lu Mengnian became a lot closer to me. Sometimes he would take the initiative to talk to me about his classmates in the academy. Until I started to have a high fever again. In fact, it was because I was playful and didn't listen to persuasion, and I got cold while playing in the water. But my father blamed all the blame on Lu Mengnian, who didn't stay with me because he went to the academy. After I recovered, Lu Mengnian became back to the way he was before. Silent all day long, he followed me. Later I found out that my father ordered Lu Mengnian to kneel in the yard that day. Little by little, he burned all the books in his room with his own hands. I know my father is wrong. But I have the least right to blame him. I had to privately ask someone to buy books for Lu Mengnian. But this was soon discovered by my father. I had no money, so I could only cheat Xiao Huifeng's money. He also asked him to help find an old scholar to secretly answer Lu Mengnian's questions. Now Xiao Huifeng still has a bunch of IOUs I signed back then. But Lu Mengnian didn't know these things. He didn't even want the books I sent back then. I had to hide it from him. In fact, everything has already begun. My eyes dimmed for a moment, and then I quickly cheered up and emphasized. This time it's true. I really don't like Lu Mengnian anymore. I said it categorically. I didn't notice Xiao Huifeng at all, as if he casually glanced at somewhere behind me. The smile in his eyes became thicker and thicker. 8. Xiao Huifeng didn't expect to encounter such an interesting thing when he came back. But to be fair, he stood on Xiaoyu's side. If Xiaoyu really didn't want Lu Mengnian, he would naturally raise his hands and feet in agreement. After all, it was he who was spoiled as his own sister since he was a child. But when the long sword lay across his neck, even a bloodstain was drawn. Xiao Huifeng still couldn't help but want to break off relations with Xiaoyu for a while. I said, "You're enough, right?" He gritted his teeth and stared at the person in front of him. I thought that the guards in the house would still have to be changed. Even one person can't stop it. Lu Mengnian still said concisely, "I owe you." It was like he was lifted out of bed in the middle of the night that night. This person just spat out 2 words coldly. Sachet. Xiao Huifeng was stunned for a while before realizing what Lu Mengnian was saying. Are you crazy? He couldn't hold back his scolding. This is all from how many years ago? Naturally, he would not think that Lu Mengnian planned to pay off Xiaoyu's debts. But because it was an IOU written by Xiaoyu. And this madman simply wants to occupy everything about Xiaoyu. Lu Mengnian said nothing. Only raised his dark eyes and looked at him quietly. A chill suddenly jumped up from behind. Xiao Huifeng finally scolded, and went to find the IOU that Xiaoyu gave him back then. There are 13 in total. God knows how happy he was when he found the last one from the foot of the table. That's it. Xiao Huifeng threw it at him with a blue face. Lu Mengnian frowned suddenly. It seems that he is extremely dissatisfied with Xiao Huifeng's rough treatment. He carefully spread out each IOU evenly, folded it carefully, and protected it with a handkerchief. Xiao Huifeng glanced at him casually and couldn't help but smack his tongue. If he is not mistaken, the corner of the handkerchief can be worth these dozens of IOUs. It seems that Ayu's girl didn't lie. Lu Mengnian really found his family in the capital, and his identity was prominent. Violently destroying heavenly things, violently destroying heavenly things. Xiao Huifeng tugged at the corners of his mouth, really couldn't look at it. But this is not the first time. I don't know when everything Xie you gave him would eventually fall into Lu Mengnian's hands. Purely rely on Lu Mengnian to fight and grab. At first, Lu Mengnian couldn't beat him, and he was beaten hard by him every time he pressed him to the ground. Later, inexplicably, he became the one who was beaten. The young man had a big temperament. I feel that losing the fight is really embarrassing, and it is difficult to speak. Every time he comes, he fights. But then Xiao Huaifeng thought that something was wrong. Especially Lu Mengnian's skills are getting better and better. After reacting, he was furious. Are you here to practice with me? At that time, Lu Mengnian was carefully protecting the string of sugar haws he had snatched. Xie you gave it. But Xiao Huaifeng's silver was used. When Lu Mengnian heard this, he glanced at Xiao Huaifeng lying on the ground. I didn't deny it, So Xiao Huaifeng became even more angry. He said, Xie Yu, this girl, is so generous on weekdays that she wants to give something when she sees someone. Why doesn't Lu Mengnian rob other people but only rob him? Xiao Huaifeng was anxious. If you really want to learn boxing and foot kung fu, you can find a guard from the Xie mansion. They won't teach you. Lu Mengnian's tone was flat. Xiao Huaifeng was stunned for a moment, and then remembered the embarrassing identity of the person in front of him in the Xie mansion. Aren't you afraid of being discovered? Lu Mengnian didn't speak. At that time, Xiao Huaifeng snorted and said, You also rely on Au to like you. You used to rely on Au to like you. There was a heavy bag of silver in front of him. Xiao Huaifeng knew that Lu Mengnian was trying to cut off his contact with Xie Yu again. He smiled, and when he raised his eyes to look at the man, there was a faint provocation in his eyes. But now you also hear it, Au said she doesn't like you anymore. He could see the seriousness of Xie Yu when he said this. This girl was spoiled when she was young, and everything she did was hot for 3 minutes. Only like one Lu Mengnian has liked it for so many years. If you want him to say it, it's not worth it. Lu Mengnian is really dangerous. Otherwise, Uncle Xie would not keep suppressing it. It's a pity that even an old fox like Uncle Xie looked away, thinking that the wolf cub had its minions cut off, and had been domesticated for many years, and it really became a dog. And now the wolf cub has grown new claws and fangs. Xiao Huaifeng restrained his attitude and rarely showed a bit of murderous intent. I don't know who you are. But since you have already made a choice, don't provoke Au again. He could see clearly on the street that day. The Shangyuan festival was crowded, and Sang Yao Yao thought that she had always been protected by Lu Mengnian. But I don't want to change someone under that mask. It wasn't until the time of the Lantern King that Lu Mengnian appeared. But there is no need to talk to Au about this. After all, in the eyes of outsiders, it was Lu Mengnian who went to the Lantern Festival with Sang Yao Yao. And Lu Mengnian is not a good man. For Xiao Huaifeng's warnings and provocations, Lu Mengnian turned a deaf ear. He put away the handkerchief by himself and placed it carefully and properly on his chest. Put it together with that sachet. Xiao Huaifeng instantly broke the skill. Lu Mengnian. Au won't dislike me. Those black eyes were so heavy that they seemed to be unable to get a trace of light. Xie Yu was not there. Lu Mengnian no longer restrained his hostility and stared at Xiao Huaifeng gloomily. He said, What Au likes, I am what I am. If she doesn't like me anymore, it must be that I didn't do well, so I will change it. 9. The wine that Xiao Huaifeng brought back to me from Huicheng was good wine. The mellow aroma is subtle. He said that he had seen that I was in a bad mood recently, so he asked someone to send me something to make me happy. I can't drink when I think of my dad coming back. I couldn't help but be greedy for one more glass. As a result, this wine is too strong. The second half of the night burned me unbearably. When I was confused, I felt very heavy. There seemed to be someone whispering to me in my ear. Au, Au. Au's wife, my lady. What kind of lady is not a lady? I'm not out of the cabinet yet. I was annoyed by the noise and replied angrily, I'm not your wife. The surroundings fell silent in an instant. Just when I thought I could sleep peacefully. There was a sudden hot wet on the back of his hand. But it was quickly wiped off carefully. Ayu is my wife. The man defended in a low voice and aggrievedly, as you said, my wife can only be you. I once said this to Mengnian. When I was a child, I was sick and uncomfortable, and I thought I was going to die. Just to grabbed Mengnian's hand with tears in his eyes, forcing him to promise that his wife could only be me. If I really die, he is not allowed to go to others again. I don't remember if Mengnian agreed in the end. But he hated me so much that I don't think he remembers these things now. I didn't say it, I didn't say it, I didn't say it. I just think this dream is so annoying. I plan to stay away from Mengnian, how can I dream about him? Thinking so, I also said it. The man's figure suddenly stiffened. My wife doesn't like Mengnian. I don't like it. Why? Don't like it anymore. The low voice had a little imperceptible tremor. I didn't think about it, I just felt very tired. But the man stubbornly wanted to get the answer, and asked over and over again. Why doesn't Ayu want Mengnian anymore? Because he's so boring. I was so annoyed by being entangled that I closed my eyes and made an excuse. You can't talk about it, you can't touch it. I got a little closer to him, and went straight back, and I became the disciple who bullied the good family. In the past, when I told him something interesting, he listened blankly, and it took a long time for him to say something, as if saying one more word would kill him, let alone take the initiative to talk to me. I have a dog and know that I want to be coquettish to please me. But after so many years, let alone pleasing and being close, Mengnian didn't even give me a piece of wood, and I still pestered me to come with the lantern a few years ago. At first, I just wanted to say a few words at random and send it off. But the drowsiness was disturbed, and the alcohol came on. The more I talked, the more aggrieved I became. He simply sat up and counted Mengnian's crimes bit by bit with his fingers. In the end, my voice also fell. What's more, Mengnian doesn't like me, and I also. I like it. The man interrupted me in a hurry. I turned my head unhappily, and was instantly stunned. I think my dream is really bold. Otherwise, how could I see Mengnian kneeling in front of my bed? The corners of his eyes were stimulated and red, as if he had just cried. He pursed his lips and said in a low and serious voice, I like my wife. Just finished speaking. The side of this man's fair face was stained with a noticeable blush. It was really a dream. How could Mengnian say he likes me, and how can he call me his wife? He didn't even tell me about returning to Beijing. I looked at the man with a blank face for a while. Then he pulled the quilt and lay down, closing his eyes. The action was done in one go. Fortunately, that person didn't continue to make trouble with me. Just grabbed my hand and rubbed it carefully. A satisfied sigh overflowed from his throat. No one disturbed me, and I became tired again. Until the man in front of the bed whispered to me again. Since the lady said that Mengnian is boring, what does the lady want him to become? I turned over, Xiao Huifeng. I want Xiao Huifeng to drive away this annoying guy in my dream for me. But I was really sleepy. After only shouting one name, he fell into a deep sleep again. I didn't know at all that the man in front of the bed suddenly stiffened. The fire of jealousy ignited in the always cold eyes. The gaze that fell on me was even more sticky. It took a long time for him to lean down. His lips pressed against my wrist, soft and aggrieved. Madam can't do without me. 10. Mengnian's deed of sale is gone. I originally found it and put it in the small cabinet at the head of the bed. But somehow I couldn't find it. Never mind. Anyway, Mengnian is the prince, and this sale contract is not a big deal for him. I quickly put the matter behind me. But Lu Mengnian became strange. The most obvious point is, he finally stopped wearing those gray clothes. This person was born good-looking. Now the ink hair is combed up, and it is tied into a red jade crown. The moon-white robe is even more handsome. I couldn't help but look at it a few more times. I felt that I had a sweetheart, and Mu actually knew how to dress up. Ayu. In the midst of distraction, Lu Mengnian had already walked up to me. What else is holding in your hand? I looked at it a few more times and was surprised. Wood carving. The slightly drooping eyelashes trembled. Lu Mengnian whispered, Ayu said he wanted to. I'm stupid and can't do it well, so don't dislike it. There are more words. But Sue is not used to saying this kind of thing. A string of words paused several times. Said stumbling. I noticed that there were still small wounds on Lu Mengnian's fingers. Probably accidentally injured while doing wood carving. But when did I say I wanted wood carving? I tugged at the corners of my mouth and thanked him perfunctorily. I didn't notice that Lu Mengnian's eyes fell on my hair. He seemed to be stunned. Why is Ayu today? Young Master Lu. Sang Yao Yao's voice suddenly interjected. When she saw me, the smile on her face stagnated slightly. And then ignored me. Straight to Lu Mengnian and smiled. Young Master Lu, I happen to be looking for something for you. I curled my lips and endured Sang Yao Yao's rudeness. Just planned to take the initiative to avoid it. But I didn't expect Lu Mengnian to suddenly grab my hand in a gaffe. Ayu. Adam's apple rolls slightly. Lu Mengnian called me. The voice sounded extremely difficult. His eyes were even more paranoid with inexplicable palpitations. That hairpin. Why is it on her head? Sang Yao Yao wore a carnelian hairpin today. The crown of hair was originally a pair with Lu Mengnian. And this hairpin was originally mine. I saw it that day when I was looking for a contract of sale. I thought that I wouldn't be able to use it in the future, so I simply asked someone to send it to Sang Yao Yao. I didn't expect that both of them would be used today. But I have a good heart. I pulled up a smirk. I think this color suits my cousin very well, so I gave it to her. Lu Mengnian looked at me blankly. The expression looked faintly aggrieved. What about me? You. Ayu. The familiar voice sounded behind itself. My eyes lit up instantly. I didn't care about thinking about how strange Lu Mengnian's words were. After shaking off his hand, he lifted the hem of his skirt and ran back. Dad. 11. Dad is back. Recalling this period of not being able to eat or sleep well, and having to be frightened all the time, I couldn't help but feel aggrieved. Holding my father and refusing to let go. What's wrong? Daddy had a smile on his face. After sweeping over the two people in front of him, his voice sank. But who wronged my precious daughter? Murderous intent suddenly appeared. Sang Yao Yao's face froze, and she subconsciously wanted to hide behind Lu Mengnian. But Lu Mengnian did not say a word. Those black eyes seemed to have lost their former calmness and lightness. His eyes stared straight at me. Restless. In the end, all of them were severely suppressed and turned into thick desires. Nothing. Thinking about the two people behind him, they couldn't afford to offend. I sniffed and said muffledly, I just miss Daddy so much. Since my mother passed away, my father has put away all his ambitions and taken care of me. I have never been separated from my father for so long. Has Dad's affairs been dealt with? Half a month ago, my father suddenly said that he had something urgent to do. Rushed elsewhere overnight. I don't even know where my father went. Dad's gaze inadvertently crossed Lu Mengnian, and quickly took it back. He raised his hand and patted my head. Dad brought back a lot of things. Ayu wants to go and see it. Yes. I hurriedly said. But before I look at the baby, I have something more important to say. I pulled my father's sleeve. Dad, I'm going back to Beijing soon. Lu Mengnian suddenly interrupted me. The red jade hair crown was taken off at some point. He knelt straight towards his father. Kneel, kneel. This is the prince of the current dynasty. I was so frightened that I turned my head to look at my father. But I didn't expect my father's face to be extremely flat. Have you found your family? Yes. Then go back. Dad laughed, but his eyes were sharp. Why do you kneel to me? I would like to ask you to agree to one thing before returning to Beijing. What do you want for? Please. Lu Mengnian paused and raised his eyes to look at me. He clearly still looked extremely cold. But the rich emotions surging in the depths of my eyes were so hot that I subconsciously looked away. But I don't know where that strange feeling comes from. Lu Mengnian didn't say what he wanted in the end. Just kowtowed to Dad a few times. But with every kowtow, Dad's face got worse and worse. In the end, he blushed and gritted his teeth and scolded, "Bastard." The iron walnut in his hand smashed heavily towards Lu Mengnian. Smashed the corner of the forehead. Crimson blood meandered across the side of his face, and the last drop fell. Lu Mengnian still knelt straight. It was as if he couldn't feel the pain. Young Master Lu. Dad. Sang Yao Yao stood in front of Lu Mengnian. The look was vigilant. And I stopped my father and persuaded him earnestly. Dad, don't do it. What do you have to say? I have nothing to say to this beast. Dad seemed to be angry and called someone again. Get him out of me. No. I was instantly shocked. Because I saw the weight of the words I hadn't seen for a few days popped up again. The female partner's father is too ruthless. The male protagonist is about to break his appearance. Don't worry upstairs, the male protagonist deliberately didn't avoid it. After all, if outsiders see it, they will definitely know that the Xia family is not good to him, so that the male protagonist has a legitimate reason to break off his relatives after returning to Beijing. The male protagonist's secret guards are watching. The Xia family can't be arrogant for too long. It turns out that this is also intentional. My heart is cold. Worried that as soon as Lu Mengnian left, those secret guards would rush out and destroy the Xia family. I gritted my teeth and stood in front of Lu Mengnian. He's injured and can't leave. Even if you really want to leave. That can't go with injuries and resentment towards the Xia family. 12. But Lu Mengnian still left. It was taken away by a team of guards who rushed in. The head of the guard put down the harsh words with a dark face before leaving. Saying that the Xia family hurt his master, he must have to pay the price. Sang Yao Yao also left together. She hates me so much. I must take the opportunity to speak ill of me in front of Lu Mengnian again. Thinking of Lu Mengnian's identity, I couldn't help but pull my father's sleeve in fear. Dad, Lu Mengnian. I want to say that Lu Mengnian is the prince. Our family will encounter disasters that even Dad can't solve in the future. I can't let Lu Mengnian hold a grudge against the Xia family. But these words couldn't be said. It was as if something was preventing me from revealing Lu Mengnian's identity. And the secret of saying those words. Thinking of this, my eyes turned a little red in a hurry. But my father mistakenly thought that I was worried about Lu Mengnian. The face that had been relaxed became heavy and tense again. After a while, he sighed. Do you really like that kid surnamed Lu so much? Even he has done such a treasonous thing to you. Yes. I looked up at my father with tears in my eyes. I don't understand what Lu Mengnian did to make my father so angry. I subconsciously shook my head, no. But I didn't expect my father to be even more angry. At this point, you still have to lie to protect that kid. Me? It's not Dad, what the hell are you talking about? It was hard to make my father believe that Lu Mengnian didn't do anything to me. But to explain why I don't like Lu Mengnian anymore, I made another difficulty. I don't want to lie to my dad. I scratched my hair in distress. Then there was a flash of inspiration. I took my dad back to the yard. When I finally found a pen and paper. But I found a large group of people kneeling in the yard. I was stunned. Dad. Daughter. The father, who was originally with a blue face, barely squeezed out a smile and said in a gentle tone. Your yard is too small, Dad will replace it for you. When I came back this time, I bought you a lot of jewelry and clothes, and I threw away all the old ones before. Speaking of the end. Dad's tone was faintly gritted his teeth. 13. In the end, not only the yard and clothes and jewelry were changed. Even the maids and women around me have all changed batches. Especially my favorite clothes. Dad directly let someone burn it. He stared at it himself. He also sneered from time to time. Because of this, my father and I lost our temper. Ran next door and told Xiao Huifeng how unreasonable his father was after coming back this time. Those people have been with me for so many years, and my father said he would drive them away, without mercy. And those clothes, many of which I haven't had time to wear. I felt distressed when I said that. But I didn't expect Xiao Huifeng to laugh after hearing this. He said meaningfully, you say your father is unreasonable, but you don't know that there are even more unreasonable people. I asked who it was, but Xiao Huifeng refused to say. Okay. I sighed, but I didn't ask any further. Just looked at his worried face. Why hasn't your wind and cold healed yet? Do you really need me to find a better doctor for you to take a look? Xiao Huifeng's face froze. Ayu. He hesitated for a while, as if with some kind of determination to die. That Lu. A loud bang interrupted Xiao Huifeng's words. I recognized that the person who broke in was one of the guards who took Lu Mengnian away that day. He glanced at Xiao Huifeng and walked up to me. Expressionless, Miss Xie too, the master fainted. I was silent for a while, then turned my head and asked Xiao Huifeng. What did you just want to say about Lu? Nothing. Xiao Huifeng also had a blank face. That Dr. Lu is not bad. I think the one who needs to be replaced should be the guard in my house. I looked at the people who had fallen outside the door. There seemed to be a few guards of the Xie mansion inside. I thought to myself that I would have to mention this matter to my father when I went back. Of course. The premise is that I can go back. 14. I didn't expect Lu Mengnian to be so weak that he was hit by his father's iron walnut, and the old injury recurred. When you see me. He was stunned for a moment. Then subconsciously panicked and hid the things in his hands. Ayu. His eyes flickered and he felt guilty. I curled my lips. I thought to myself, what am I hiding? Isn't it just a red dress? I don't like red. I saw Sang Yao Yao wearing a red dress several times. Those guards were really blind. What did Lu Mengnian say because I refused to return to Beijing for a long time? And only I can persuade him to go back. It's talking nonsense in broad daylight. But even if he had already planned to give up liking Lu Mengnian. When he saw Lu Mengnian lying on the bed seriously injured and holding Sang Yao Yao's things, I still couldn't help but feel sad for myself for a while. My dad did something wrong that day. But think of the purpose of coming over. I still took the initiative to step forward and apologize in a low voice. If you can't get angry, I'll make amends for my father. Lu Mengnian suddenly fell silent. I caught a sharp glimpse of the back of his hand hanging from the quilt with blue veins. The fingers grabbed and loosened violently. It seems that he is trying to suppress something. You can't be angry and want to hit me, right? I muttered. I heard Lu Mengnian's voice deep. You can do anything you want Ayu to do. I was stunned for a moment and hesitated. I'm not very good at taking care of people. If you want, you want. I gritted my teeth. I just wanted to say that I can also learn time. The wrist was suddenly grabbed. It doesn't take much effort. so soft that it seems to be negligible. But in the next second, Mengnian suddenly leaned down. An extremely light kiss landed on the inside of my wrist. Then there was a tingling sting. It was Mengnian, who was holding a piece of soft flesh on my inside, grinding his canine teeth gently. A satisfied gasp overflowed from the throat again. I looked down and could only see the long, straight eyelashes hanging down. And crimson lips. I was so frightened that I couldn't speak. Mengnian. Then you stayed with me, okay? Mengnian raised his head and bent his eyes towards me. My mind went blank. This is definitely not Mengnian. He couldn't have done such an act of becoming a disciple. So the body raised its hand faster than the brain reacted. Snap. 15. Dad smashed the head of the prince of the dynasty. I slapped the prince in the face. Question: is there still a possibility for the Xia family to survive? But no one can answer my question. I watched Mengnian be slapped too far by me. The black hair that fell down covered most of the expression on his face. Fortunately, Mengnian didn't seem to care. On the contrary, he looked at me as if he was frightened. The slender and thick eyelashes hung down lonely. He restrained the trembling in his voice and whispered, "Don't be afraid of me." I withdrew my hand a little embarrassed. I thought it was okay to be afraid, but I was too frightened. After a while, it was quiet. Mengnian suddenly asked again, "I don't think I've seen you wear this dress before." I also wanted to skip this matter, so I quickly replied. My father lost all his clothes and burned them. Mengnian was a little stunned. But soon calmed down. Burn 2s and burn it, it's not a valuable thing. He seemed a little tired. So he asked someone to lead me down to rest first. But he had just walked out of the house, and hadn't walked a few steps. I had good ears and heard Mengnian's low muffled snort, occasionally mixed with a few rapid gasps. Is this person so badly injured? I can't help but feel uneasy. Until the evening, a servant sent new clothes. You even brought the embroiderers of the Xia mansion together. Looking at such a very familiar dress, I asked a little blankly. Naturally, I didn't get any reply. Mengnian's men are the same as his master. They are also mouthed gourds. I wasn't too angry. After all, the tiger fell in Pingyang and was bullied by dogs. Tomorrow, I have to think of ways to please his master. I sighed. I thought I would not be able to sleep. But after staring at the top of the bed with wide eyes, I became sleepy. In a trance, I thought I had returned to the bedroom of the Xia family's courtyard. It's still the previous one. Although the newly replaced yard is big and beautiful. But I always feel that I am not used to it. It's not even as good as this place arranged for me by Mengnian. If there is anything bad, it is that there are too many bugs here. When I woke up the next day, I had a lot of red spots on my body. My hands were even more tired and I couldn't lift them. Maybe it's a bug that hit me all night in my sleep last night. I thought about it, but I didn't take it too seriously. It's just that Mengnian's face became even more swollen after a night. The bright slap print made me feel a little guilty. But he seemed to be in a good mood. Especially when he noticed that I was wearing new clothes sent by his subordinates. It was as if a little light fell into the dark pupils. The whole person was visibly happy with the naked eye. It's very weird. I was a little puzzled. I faintly felt that something was wrong. Especially I thought I was arrested to take care of Mengnian, and then humiliated by him. But in fact, I seem to be more comfortable here than in the Xia mansion. Because Mengnian does not restrict me from doing anything. Instead, he blindly indulges. It seems that it is really just literal. He just wants me to stay here with him. That's all. The strangeness of that day seemed to be just my illusion. Mengnian, who I saw during the day, was still cold. But all my requests were answered. Even when I wanted to write a letter to my father to report that he was safe, he found a guard to send it for me. Just like in the past. Sometimes I even feel in a trance that Lu Mengnian may not resent me and the Xia family as much as those words say. Until I saw Sang Yao Yao again. She didn't seem surprised to see me here. It's just that the eyes that look at me are less hostile than before. A little more sympathy. She sighed. Xia Yu, run away. I was stunned for a moment. 16. Sang Yao Yao said that Lu Mengnian had already agreed to her position as the crown princess. Otherwise, why do you think he would bring a woman like me back to Beijing? I suddenly remembered that those words had also been said. Lu Mengnian had already given Sang Yao Yao the token of love. I frowned and asked. But what does this have to do with whether I can escape or not? Don't you think that His Highness is obedient to you now and has affection for you? Sang Yao Yao shook her head in surprise. Xia Yu, you are still too naive by your father. He has always hated the identity of Chongshi Tong's husband, and he feels even more humiliated. He wants to take revenge on your father, he wants you to fall in love with him. It's best to be trapped by love and seek death and life. I was silent for a long time, looking up at Sang Yao Yao in shock and grief. Although I'm a little stupid, you can't really treat me as a fool. Just because I like Lu Mengnian as much as I used to. As long as he is not so cold to me, or a little closer to me, I can give up on him. But look at the way he doesn't even touch it now. I occasionally bump into him changing clothes, and this person has to wrap his clothes tightly nervously, as if he is afraid of being seen by me. You say he is seducing me, and wants me to love him to the point of seeking death. My tone was accusatory. Sang Yao Yao also fell silent. After she muttered, "So I'm not a fool," gritted his teeth, and threw out another huge temptation. Don't you want to know the truth about the Xia family's ruin? One word. Success calmed me down. What the hell do you want me to do? Those words have not provided useful information for a long time. Until now, I don't know what happened to the Xia family later. I can't find a way to avoid disaster. It's very simple. Sang Yao Yao smiled slyly at me. You ask Lu Mengnian to go back to Beijing with me. 17. Sang Yao Yao said, Lu Mengnian treats me differently. Lu Mengnian's subordinates also said. Lu Mengnian was reluctant to return to Beijing because I was reluctant to return to Beijing. Only I can persuade him to leave. But I always feel that something is wrong. Why are you here to deliver medicine today? A slightly hoarse voice pulled my thoughts back. Lu Mengnian frowned and subconsciously took my medicine bowl. Do you have hot hands? I shook my head. How can you be so squeamish? But Lu Mengnian did not believe it. Seeing that my hands were a little red, he hurriedly applied a thick layer of priceless ointment to me. I am used to Lu Mengnian's care. After all, it's been like this since I was a child. Although he treated me coldly, he took care of me meticulously. Even better than the maids around me. If it weren't for the later age, men and women would be on guard. I was in a trance for a moment. He looked down at Lu Mengnian again. He pursed his lips and frowned. Carefully hold my palm. Gently apply with your slender fingertips so that the ointment dissolves completely. It slipped through his fingers again. Don't let go of a single bit. Until the red disappears completely. It should be a very serious action. But I don't know why it was made by Lu Mengnian, but it inexplicably made people blush and heartbeat. I suddenly remembered that Lu Mengnian had been holding onto the red and swollen slap marks on his face for several days. A bold and unbelievable idea gradually emerged. I looked away in a panic. But when he caught a glimpse of a familiar green on the bed, his eyes widened suddenly. Then, isn't that the ugly sachet I gave Xiao Huaifeng? How could it be here with Lu Mengnian? Maybe my gaze is too hot. Lu Mengnian raised his head perceptively. He paused and then turned sideways as if nothing had happened. Just blocked my view. Okay. Alu, do you like me? Two voices sounded at the same time. Lu Mengnian instantly stiffened. Move without moving. Only a pair of black eyes stared straight at me. I looked up at him and asked again. Do you like me? If you don't like it, why are you still obedient to me? If you don't like it, why do you take care of me so carefully? If you don't like it, why do you secretly hide the sachet I gave to others? I suddenly reacted to something. It seems that I can see those inexplicable words. I never asked Lu Mengnian what he thought. I believed those words. Then it was determined that Lu Mengnian blamed me and the Xie family. In the future, he will turn a blind eye to the disaster of me and the Xie family. Put it this way. I don't seem to like Lu Mengnian as much as I imagined. Thinking of this, I feel a little guilty. And Lu Mengnian still didn't say a word. I scratched my face a little embarrassed, if it's hard to say. I like it. A suppressed hoarse voice sounded. Lu Mengnian opened his mouth almost urgently. I like Au. But after saying that, it seems to feel inappropriate. He pursed his lips and rolled his Adam's apple in embarrassment. I was a little embarrassed to look over. But I could clearly see that the earlobes hidden under the black hair were so red that they were about to bleed. Lu Mengnian repeated in a low voice, I like Au. I asked twice. He replied twice. Southwest, the place where the palm touched, instantly became hot. I subconsciously withdrew my hand and pulled away from the topic. The medicine is about to cool down, I'll Lu, drink the medicine first. Lu Mengnian hummed. But inexplicably, I saw a little grievance. Especially when picking up the medicine bowl. He paused and whispered, Au wants me to drink medicine. My heart tightened all of a sudden. Don't dare to look at Lu Mengnian. I lowered my eyes and pretended to smile lightly. You have to drink the medicine to get better quickly. Okay. Lu Mengnian raised his head and drank it all without any hesitation. Au. Under my astonished gaze, the man suddenly leaned down and kissed the inside of my wrist. The warm and wet tip of the tongue is unusually distinct. The crisp numbness that has never been seen before goes all the way up to the depths of my heart. I subconsciously wanted to withdraw my hand, but Lu Mengnian held it with irresistible force. Then there was a tingling pain. It hurts much more than the previous one. I gasped. But the culprit who bit someone looked even more aggrieved than me. Lu Mengnian rubbed my hand, and there was a shocking desire hidden in his dark eyes. He whispered, you have to wait for me. 18. Lu Mengnian, who was in a coma, was carried into the carriage by his men. He also said he liked me. After calculating, everything was calculated, and he didn't forget to let Sang Yao Yao take Sang Yao Yao away. Met Sang Yao Yao's proud eyes. I couldn't help but think sourly in my heart. The more I thought about it, the more I felt that Lu Mengnian might be the same as me, just talking about it. Before leaving, I returned the jade pendant to Lu Mengnian. Because just the night before, I learned the root of that plague. The Xie family is one of the richest in the world. The rich family property has long attracted the coveted of the local county magistrate. As a result, officials colluded, and the Xie family was ruined. I hurried back to tell my father about it. But Dad didn't show any surprise. He just smiled and touched my head, and said with emotion, my Au has finally grown up. Dad. Don't worry. Dad said he had known about these things for a long time. It has also taken all measures early. I was a little dazed. And my father suddenly changed his mind and asked me with a smile. Au wants to go to Jiangnan. 19. My mother's home is in Jiangnan. Dad said he wanted to come for a long time. Nothing bad either. The Xie family did not have an accident. Dad and I are still alive and well. Occasionally, I received letters from Xiaohui phone. The letter said that the local county magistrate had been beheaded. because of the collusion between officials and bandits. Fortunately, you left early. Xiao Huifeng sighed in the letter. I heard that the dog official plans to deal with the Xie family next. Everything matched the words that appeared inexplicably. The only thing that was wrong. I shook my head and decided not to think about Lu Mengnian. He all returned to Beijing to become a prince. He also agreed to the position of crown princess Sang Yaoyao. Naturally, he will no longer have any entanglements with me. As for the words of waiting for him, I didn't take it to heart. I began to learn business with my father. But the results are not very good. In the end, only one small restaurant barely survived. Dad also worked hard. But in the end, I recognized the reality. He decided to recruit a son-in-law for me. I said okay, the scholar next door is good. As a result, the scholar moved the next day. Dad sighed faintly, life is not good. I don't know who he's talking about. Later, I fell in love with the handsome accountant who came to the Xie family restaurant. As a result, he hadn't said a few words yet. The man hurriedly rejected me. Thank you, young lady, for your love, but I already have a family. Although I was a child bride when I was young, I will definitely not be that heartless man. Me? How did this sound so wrong? Just when I was struggling to find the third place, someone stumbled into my snack shop, crying and hugging my thighs. Ancestor, stop. It's Sang Yaoyao, who hasn't seen each other for a long time. 20. I thought that Sang Yaoyao had already gone to be her crown princess in the capital. Return the crown princess. I'm Ba. She nibbled on chicken legs regardless of her image. He also took the time to scold Lu Mengnian viciously. I'm almost squeezed into a human being by this black-hearted man. Sang Yaoyao said that she was not a person of this world. The purpose of her visit here is to perfect the plot of this world. That is, as the destined heroine to save the dark male protagonist and assist him in completing his hegemony. That's right, the barges you saw were actually deliberately let you see them. When confessing, Sang Yaoyao was very guilty. She said she just wanted me to take the initiative to stay away from Lu Mengnian. In this way, it will be easier for her to take Lu Mengnian back to Beijing, and the plot will continue to develop. The token of love is fake. The fact that she was granted the position of crown princess is also false. It's just to let me be separated from Lu Mengnian. But who knew that the plot had collapsed early? How could it collapse? I was a little confused. Didn't he take the initiative to take you back to Beijing? Take the initiative? Of course I took the initiative. Sang Yaoyao smiled miserably. He purely uses me as a toolman. If there is any danger, he will use me to block the knife, and he will force me to tell the following plot to clear the obstacles in the capital early, just to be able to do it earlier. Halfway through the words, there was a sudden pause. Sang Yaoyao took a deep breath and grabbed my hand tightly. Good sister, for the sake of me helping you foresee the danger in advance, you can help me intercede. This man cried too badly. The surrounding guests were also scared away. I couldn't pull it out, so I could only sigh. But I can't see anyone either. You can see it. Sang Yaoyao immediately stopped crying, and handed me a sachet with bright eyes. You just need to put it under your pillow when you go to bed tonight. 21. Sang Yaoyao said that I would be able to see Lu Mengnian at night. But I didn't see anyone until I was tired. I was fooled again. I thought angrily. But in the middle of the night, I vaguely noticed that there was one more person in front of the bed. I was shocked. Just before I could react, the man had already climbed onto my bed and gently wrapped his arms around my waist. A low and familiar voice fell into my ears. Lady. Me? Previously, they were called Miss and Xiaoyu. Finally, I coaxed Ayu later, and after calling, I pursed my lips with a cold face, as if I had taken advantage of it. As a result, when I got into bed at night, I called Lady. Who is shameless? I held my breath and wanted to see what Lu Mengnian was going to do. But I didn't expect his movements to become more and more excessive. It's not enough to rub and stick. Do you still want to use my hands? I remember that when I lived in Lu Mengnian's place before, I slept soundly every night, but my hands were extremely tired in the morning. I thought I was tired of playing bugs. Unexpectedly. My wife is not good, she clearly promised to wait for me, but she left without saying a word. Now you have to look for someone else. Do they have me to serve my wife? Far from being as taciturn as in the daytime. The more Lu Mengnian said, the more aggrieved he became. But soon his tone became fierce. But it doesn't matter, they won't live to marry their wives. Who do you think will live long? I really can't listen to it anymore. I grabbed Lu Mengnian's hand that was getting more and more excessive, and my tone was faint. The body behind him suddenly stiffened. Ayu. It returned to the coldness of the day. I laughed angrily. Try pretending to be another one. 22. It is not the first time Lu Mengnian climbs into bed at night. I used to do it often when I was in the Xia mansion. Be more detailed. The people around me have long been rebelled against by Lu Mengnian. No wonder Dad was so angry when he came back. I thought distractedly. But the person is Lu Mengnian's person. What about those clothes and jewelry? I suddenly remembered that Lu Mengnian was taken away in a hurry that day. Many things are too late to clean up. For example, the dress on the bed looks like a wedding dress. The embroidery technique above is very familiar. At first, I even thought that Lu Mengnian had tied up the embroiderers of the Xia family. And Dad was so angry that he wanted to burn those clothes. Lu Mengnian was so happy to see me wear those clothes. I paused and my eyes fell unconsciously on Lu Mengnian's white and slender fingers. Suddenly asked, who makes all my clothes? Fingers curled up slightly uncomfortably. Lu Mengnian's voice was extremely difficult. It's me. After getting this unexpected answer, the first reaction in my mind was, Lu Mengnian was seriously injured in bed, didn't he forget to embroider the wedding dress? I tried that dress. I was dressed just right. I also said that Lu Mengnian had never given me anything. Who would have thought that this intimate clothing, as well as everything in the bedroom, was handled by Lu Mengnian himself? No wonder I say that living there is so comfortable. I was ashamed and annoyed for a while. I said angrily, why are you always so cold to me during the day? Lu Mengnian pursed his lips tightly and did not speak. The face is pale. After a long time, he said in a low voice, Ayu doesn't want to get tired of me. Something was wrong with him. I frowned and forcefully pinched Lu Mengnian's chin to force him to raise his head. Only to find that the corners of this person's eyes were completely red. He looked at me quietly. In the blink of an eye, tears fell. Drips on the back of the hand. It's extremely hot. I was a little flustered. Why are you crying? I don't have a girl in my family who can cry so well. Ayu doesn't like too clingy. The fingers under the sleeves trembled uncontrollably. Lu Mengnian's voice was very soft, as if he had fallen into a nightmare. That raccoon slave, Ayu doesn't like it. I paused. Tanuki. I once had a raccoon slave, but then I was disgusted by me. But what does this have to do with whether I like to be clingy or not? Lu Mengnian said that when it was first delivered, the raccoon slave ignored me. I just love it very much. Later, the raccoon slave became clingy, but Ayu didn't like it anymore. If Ayu finds out that I am such an obsessed person, he will definitely get tired of it. There was an uncontrollable tremor in his voice. I never expected it to be such a reason. Then do you know that the raccoon slave already had another master, and even hurt me for others? The so-called clingy people are just beasts in cleverness, and they just want to please me. I laughed angrily. Lu Mengnian also raised his head suddenly, stunned. The people who are usually cold and dusty looked at me blankly. There were still undried tears on the eyelashes. So Au. Fingers tightened violently. Lu Mengnian said hoarsely, Au doesn't hate my behavior. Before I could speak, he raised his hand to stop me. Au, wait. Lu Mengnian stopped looking at me, and his voice became calmer and calmer. But word by word was like tearing open a scabbed wound and letting the blood flow. I want to be close to Au at all times and do the most intimate things with Au. I want Au to be the only one in his eyes and heart. Even sometimes, when I see Au joking with others, I wish that person would disappear from now on. So, will Au be afraid? Yes. Do you hate it? The last sentence is very light. It was so light that it was like a gust of wind blowing, and it could be blown away. But I noticed that Lu Mengnian was trembling. I couldn't help but tremble. He didn't dare to look at me. I thought for a while, stretched out my hand and held Lu Mengnian. Is it that close? No, it's closer. Then if I don't like it, will you force me? No. He raised his head suddenly, and said word by word very seriously. I will never force Au to do something he doesn't like. Then why should I be afraid of you? I tilted my head to look at him. Why don't you call me lady? I like to listen to it. Thus the wind calmed down. The gaze that was so focused on the point of obsession fell back on me. There is no disguise. But that fair and handsome face was red. It's like I'm teasing him. I looked at it for fun, and I wanted to kiss Lu Mengnian by the neckline. But he panicked and avoided it. Au, no, no. Why not? I am menacing. Lu Mengnian's eyes regained a trace of reason. He looked away embarrassedly and whispered, if you regret it. It's not good. So no matter how hard it is. Lu Mengnian just kissed my wrist. But now that you and I are on the same bed, will others believe that we are innocent? If you said that before, will others still believe that we are innocent? As soon as the words fell, Lu Mengnian's face turned a little pale. He apologized to me. I couldn't get used to it, so I simply sat in his arms. Smiled and said, or do you really want to watch me marry someone else? Moment. The ferocity and possessiveness in Lu Mengnian's eyes could not be completely concealed. But it dissipated cleanly when it met my gaze. I suddenly remembered saying Yao Yao's evaluation of this person in broad daylight. Hypocrite. It's true. The corners of his eyes gradually aroused scarlet. Lu Mengnian's Adam's apple rolled as if sighing. Au is teasing me again. Then I'll find someone else. I was about to get up, but Lu Mengnian's wrist was clasped. He was rarely fierce, no. The range of action is too large. An object fell out of his wide cuff. I quickly picked it up, chain. Lu Mengnian's face stiffened. I reacted, are you going to tie me up tonight? Speaking of the back, the voice became louder. I thought to myself that if Lu Mengnian really did this, then I would definitely be angry. The kind that can't be coaxed. But I didn't expect Lu Mengnian to close his eyes a little embarrassedly. No, it's not. What? I was a little confused. Lu Mengnian pursed his lips. Then he lowered his head under my shocked gaze. Biting the chain, he bound his hands little by little. Just right. He explained a little embarrassedly. It's not for Au. I gasped. I thought to myself, what did Lu Mengnian learn after going to the capital? The revenge has been avenged, and now I am not the prince. His dark eyes stared straight at me. One end of the chain was already stuffed into my hand. Also sent was an extremely familiar deed of sale. The young man paused, and a gentle smile rose to his lips. He said extremely seriously. Now there is only Lu Mengnian of the Xia family. This time it was my turn to look at Lu Mengnian in a daze. I always knew that this person was good-looking. But I didn't expect that when he laughed, actually. It's so tempting. I couldn't help but lean down. After pecking at Lu Mengnian, the corners of his lips tightened slightly. Suddenly laughed. Then do you still have a betrothal gift to marry me now? Dad said, even if it is a son-in-law, the bride price is indispensable. The people of the Xia family have always been so domineering. The corners of the eyes that were hooked up became heavy and rosy again. But this time, the light fell into endless darkness. But it has never been annihilated. Lu Mengnian raised his head with a smile, and let me do anything. Ayu. He called me in a low voice. Panting overflowed from the lips. Finally, it turned into a satisfied sigh. I have been fond of my lady for a long time. 23. Xiao Huaifeng said that Lu Mengnian robbed him of a lot of things. He also injured so many of his guards. The training fee when he was young was still owed. He had to come back and pay it off one by one. It's all the princes, you can't pay off your debts, right? Xiao Huaifeng's tone was vicious. And my father never hid it from me later. He said that it was indeed Lu Mengnian, who reminded him of the county magistrate's evil intentions. But I also played a broken scene with him to help him eliminate some enemies, and I don't owe that wolf cub anything. That being said, but I know that my father always dislikes the person I am looking for. He sneered more than once. I can't pick a better one among so many people than that wolf cub, it's really a waste. I shrank my neck, thinking that after all, there is only one Lu Mengnian. I know they are waiting for Lu Mengnian. I know I'm waiting. Fortunately, I waited. 24. Lu Mengnian's perspective. Lu Mengnian didn't like the girl named Xie Yu very much. Noisy. Annoying. It's still too weak to die. Even if he knew that he was rescued by Xie Yu. He also knew that he was bought as Xie Yucheng's adopted husband. But he still hated Xie Yu. He thought viciously, why can anyone in this world live so innocently and happily? Xie Yu seemed to like him very much. She always asked him to accompany her. He also forced him to eat a lot. It is said that those who eat strong are not easy to get sick. But she ate so much herself, isn't she still a sick seedling? Lu Mengnian felt that Xie Yu was really annoyed. And a little liar. Xie Yu is sick again. He was beaten again. So why can't Xie Yu die? This way he can also die earlier. It's not interesting to be alive anyway. Xie Yu beat the group of children who bullied him. She said he should call back. If something really happens, she will take it. Little liar. Obviously, I was so frightened that tears rolled in my eyes just now. He said he would help him fight back. As a result, he tripped over himself when he picked up the stick. He was in pain and cried while comforting him. Still a fool. It seems like I fell on my head just now, shouldn't I be stupid? He shouldn't be pestered by fools. Xie Yu said she could let him study. He didn't really want to go to the academy that much. It's just that I don't want to accompany this girl. It's really boring to listen to her nagging. But Lu Mengnian heard that Xie Yu promised do many things she was not willing to do in order to get her father to agree. For example, practicing calligraphy. For example, embroidery. Which girl can poke her fingers like a radish in embroidery? Xie Yu came to him crying again. He said he had to blow it up. Lu Mengnian is really not willing to do such a childish thing. So he looked at the culprit. Frowning and thinking, is embroidery really that difficult? Embroidery is not difficult at all. It's simply because Xie Yu is stupid. Stupid to death. He learned it all. The book was burned. He was fined again. But for the first time, Lu Mengnian didn't think badly that it would be nice if Xie Yu died. He just stared at the fire in a daze. Thought. It turns out that Xie Yu is so inseparable from him. Later he received the book again. There are also old scholars who answer his questions without expecting anything in return. Stupid to death. Did she really think he didn't know who sent it? But Lu Mengnian was very annoyed. Because of buying books and finding someone, Xiaoyu got very close to the kid from the Xiao family. He didn't like Xiao Huifeng at all. Lu Mengnian had a dream. In the dream, he is the male protagonist of this world. But Xiaoyu is just a female supporting role. In the dream, he didn't like Xiaoyu. Even later watched Xiaoyu be tortured to death with cold eyes. How is that possible? Lu Mengnian felt that this dream was really absurd. Because Xiaoyu is not bad at all. Stupid and stupid. How could he hate Xiaoyu? Until later Sang Yao Yao entered the Xia mansion. And in that dream, there was also a heroine named Sang Yao Yao. Lu Mengnian fell in love with Sang Yao Yao. Xiaoyu will die. Ha! What a joke! Lu Mengnian thought indifferently. Then he stabbed himself in the arm expressionlessly. As a punishment for losing control after seeing Sang Yao Yao today. He is the owner of this body. Xiaoyu's clothes were discovered. Xia Ming was furious. Almost beat him to death. But Lu Mengnian knelt straight. Then he slowly kowtowed to Xia Ming. He thought badly. More excessive things are yet to come. Lu Mengnian has an addiction. Only to thank you. He couldn't resist the desire to touch. I want to hug Xiaoyu. I want to stick with Xiaoyu every moment. I want Xiaoyu to see him alone. Gradually going crazy and paranoid. But it all ended when Xiaoyu didn't like the raccoon slave. Ayu doesn't like clinginess. So all desires are suppressed. Lu Mengnian thought. It's okay. What kind of things does Ayu like? What he is like. As long as Ayu likes it. Lu Mengnian was very fond of Xiaoyu. He wants his Ayu. Worry-free every year. Every year is healthy.